I'm Santi Clarke, and this is SEO in 2024 Additional Insights.
Santi, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2024?
My insight is that agencies should be using and maximizing their use of AI in 2024, specifically for SEO implementation, things beyond content. AI is changing the game for agencies. My team and I ran a survey of over 200 digital agencies at the end of last year, and we found that AI is really changing the way that they do business. It's specifically changing how they go to market, as well as how they speed up their most time-consuming workflows. We found that 87% said they expected to really speed up how they do their job day to day, and that's specifically within the realm of SEO implementation and content creation.
Yeah, it has changed the game. It is changing the game. It's going to change the game more. How would you actually summarize to the degree where we are at the moment in relatively early 2024, how AI has changed the game for agencies so far?
Yeah, so going back to the survey that we run at the end of last year, we asked them to look into 2024 and tell us what they saw, what they expected. And one of the most interesting findings, in my opinion, is that they expected AI to actually help them go down market and serve more diverse clients. We found that 86% of the people that we talked to said that. And I find that very interesting. And I think that's a real testament to the time and cost savings that AI can offer for an agency. It can really speed up some of those most time-consuming workflows and give you that time back to offer more value to be able to reach more and different types of clients than you might have been able to do before. And I think that's really exciting, and it's a huge opportunity that agencies should and can be taking advantage of this year.
So I would have thought if you went down market, then you're probably opening yourself to more competition, more people doing the same thing. So do you not view it as a challenge to differentiate what you do if you do that?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's always a challenge with differentiation, of course, especially when you're dealing with more price-sensitive clients. But I think that there's a lot of ways that you can think about this. So it may be an entry level for your agency. So you can acquire clients at a lower price point with the goal of upselling them and nurturing them and building them up in the future. So with AI, because you can save 5 to 10 times the amount of time on things like SEO, implementation, or content creation, you can offer those services to more clients. Yes, there's more competition, but at the same time, you can tap into a market that you weren't tapping into before, and you can use that as a kind of an upgrade path or an upgrade flow.
I guess an upgrade path. So I love it. So it's something that you could potentially fully automate, but then lead them towards something that is more human-centric.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. And I was also thinking that it's not necessarily possible or a good idea to automate absolutely everything. If you want to use that word again, differentiation. If you want to differentiate what you do, if you provide that human type service, are there any activities that you would never want to use AI for?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Obviously, LLMs are good at certain things, and they're not so good at other things. So the main area that we're seeing agencies using AI today is in content creation and SEO implementation. You know, there's a lot of tools available that make it really, really easy to automate those particular activities. So, you know, you could take, like, let's say metadata implementation. So that is a fantastic use case because it's something that takes a lot of time. It's something that is, you know, maybe you don't even offer that yet as an agency, but with AI and with AI tools, you're able to do that very, very quickly. So, and that's not even talking about like ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT to generate metadata. You can copy paste it into your website building platform and into the relevant fields and get that SEO metadata implemented very, very quickly. But you can actually do it even quicker with your website building tool. So a lot of website builders now have SEO, AI-driven SEO tools built right into the platform. And that's a huge time saver. And that's something that you can, if you're not already offering that to your clients, you can offer that. Or if you were already offering it, you can save, according to a lot of our clients, you can save 5 to 10 times the amount of time it would have taken to manually implement that metadata. And so what these tools do is they analyze the content of the page. This is something that AI is particularly very good at, is they understand and can summarize the content of the page and put it into an excellent meta description for that page very, very quickly. There are some tools that can even do this in bulk, where you can pull all the pages for your site and generate all of the meta descriptions all the titles, all the alt text, even for all of those things at once, and then just review them and publish them. But that's where the caveat comes in. So obviously, LLMs are good at summarizing content, making sure things are grammatically correct, punctuation's correct, and everything like that. But there are things it's not so good at. So there's things like counting. So even though you might ask it to give you a meta description within a certain character limit, it's not always going to be within that limit. So that's where it can really, really speed up the time that it takes to generate that content, but you still need to review it. You still need to validate it and make sure that it's within the recommended limits. So that's kind of a good example of where there's a lot of time savings, but there's also some downsides.
And I guess you would always advocate being open and honest with your clients about what you're using AI for. So if you are using AI to generate meta descriptions, you're generating tens of thousands of meta descriptions for a certain client, you're not trying to sell it as a human-generated meta description.
Oh, no. So absolutely. There's a couple of sides to that. So yes, I totally advocate for being transparent and open with your use of AI. I think that at this point, it's expected. So our survey of agency owners found that 100% of them were already using AI to some extent. So and we know that that's true with consumers as well. We know that, or with the end users as well. We know that everyone's using AI. So it's important to be transparent, to be ethical in our use of AI. But I also think on that side, it's important for you to have human oversight. So you're not just generating hundreds of meta descriptions without having someone look at it, fact check it, tweak it as needed. When I think of AI, it's not meant to replace you. It's meant to replace human ingenuity, human creativity, and kind of our gut checks. It's meant to accelerate the process and get it that much quicker. But you're still looking at it and you're still reviewing. So we're not telling our clients, hey, we're generating all these meta descriptions, but we're not looking at it. That wouldn't be, I think, an ethical use of AI.
You mentioned content creation as well. I'd love to get your thoughts on maybe the optimum use of AI within content creation, because I've got my own perspectives on that as well. And I don't love using AI for creating an original piece of content, but I love creating a podcast episode or a YouTube video and then using AI to perhaps create a transcript or assist with the production of a transcript, and then using AI to assist from there with a written form. But you wouldn't necessarily use it for everything. You'd fact check it. You'd review everything, obviously, as well. But then you're obviously starting off with an original piece of content then. So I much prefer to do it that way instead of actually attempting to give it a few bullets and saying, write a piece of content about this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is totally like, my background is in writing. So I love AI and I use it every single day in many different ways. But one of the ways is the way that you've just described, which is we create an original piece of content. We do this with our webinars. Duda will record them and then feed the transcript into ChatGPT, and it will produce a blog post or another piece of content from that original piece. And then we can tweak it and repost it. And that's a great way to get content repurpose. Obviously, create a lot of different pieces of content from one bigger original piece. So again, great way to do that. I think that's a fantastic use case. I also use it a lot as a starting point. So I use it a lot for initial first drafts. Let's say, for example, I'm writing a case study. I'm recording that conversation, and then I'll feed that into ChatGPT and have it produce a transcript, have it kind of organize it a little bit. But then I'm taking that and moving it to the next level, because it's really not telling the story.
Yeah. Or summarizing. It's great for summarizing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great for summarizing. Yeah.
And what about the AI tools that agencies are actually using at the moment? Because there are a plethora of options out there. Obviously, you can start off with ChatGPT, but there's some bespoke GPTs. There are some bespoke AI tools that you can use. So are there any particular AI tools that are most appropriate for agencies at the moment?
Yeah. So in the survey that we ran, we found that most people were using ChatGPT. And again, that was at the end of last year. So since then, there's been a lot of new tools that have come on the market. There's a lot of more adoption. And what I think is especially helpful for agencies is AI tools that are embedded within the tools that they're already using. So things like their website builder, for example, because that's what really allows you to compound the time savings. So for example, you can write some copy in ChatGPT, copy paste it into your website. You can do all of these different things. But when it's really embedded within your workflow in the platform that you're already using, I know there's a lot of different platforms that do this for social media posting platforms like Hootsuite. They have their own AI integration. that allows you to generate social media posts right within their platform, and then you can tweak it. And you can do that all without task switching, without switching platforms, all within your existing workflow. You can do that on the website building side too. And that's where we see a lot of time savings for agencies with these integrated content assistants, with these integrated AI SEO tools. They're already analyzing the content of the page. They're already have integrated prompts, so you don't have to spend a lot of time engineering prompts. They're already kind of built in. And so that allows you to populate the content of a site very, very quickly. Obviously, it's a starting point, but it's better. I like to say that it's better placeholder than, say, like lorem ipsum, which is a lot of times how we're filling out, sites with placeholder content when it's not ready. You can use AI to create that placeholder content very, very quickly, and it's a great starting point that can then be edited and revised going forward.
So, how do you actually keep on top of what are the best AI tools to be using? Because there are more and more as every month goes by. I remember just talking about MarTech, going back maybe 10, 15 years ago or so. There was a chap called Scott Brinker, and he created a graphic called the Marketing Technology Landscape Super Graphic. And he started off with less than 200 tools. And then last year, 2023, there was over 11,000 MarTech tools on that graphic. I don't know how any individual can go through all those tools and review everything and decide what they should be using. So what are your favorite ways of actually staying on top of things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And like I said, one of the great ways to start is looking at the tools that are already available to you, the things that your existing vendors are providing. So that's a really great starting point to kind of spark your idea of what's possible, what you already have access to, what you could already be taking advantage of, because you can't know everything. And that is the challenge of us being in marketing is there are so many options out there, but also just good old, talking to your colleagues, really information sharing, plugging into local AI marketing groups and hearing what others are using and where others are seeing success.
So what is the future of the agency model when it comes to AI? Is AI disrupting agencies and perhaps making more people go in-house, or is it simply just changing agencies?
Yeah, there was definitely a fear of that. So it's something we heard, when ChatGPT first launched over a year ago now. We did hear that. We heard concerns. And myself as a writer, I heard, there were concerns. Is AI going to replace us? As I worked with AI a lot more, I've learned that really, I don't think so. It's more about embracing AI. And that's the approach that we've taken is, I run a content team at Duda, and we've jumped right on board, adopted AI within our workflows, and we've seen the limitations. We've seen that you really do need human oversight. You need someone to provide the comprehensive marketing strategy that then guides the tool. AI is really a tool. It's just like marketing automation. It's like any other tool in our arsenal, and it's really the outcomes that you get are very dependent on the person that's using it. So, are you able to provide that comprehensive strategy? Are you providing value beyond what AI can provide? And I think that's the real differentiator for agencies. So, if they can use AI to help them accelerate their processes, then they can reallocate that time to focusing on delivering real value, real differentiated value that AI can't replace.
So what agency tasks haven't been impacted by AI so far, but may be impacted over the coming year?
Yeah, I think obviously some of the big case studies we're already seeing are things like, SEO, content creation, image generation, content personalization. Those are all big things. But where I'm starting to see a lot of people using AI in really cool ways with custom GPTs is really to help manage their clients, to help them manage the whole client lifecycle from start to finish, from getting them onboarded all the way to managing them and having an ongoing process for that. So one of the ways that you can do this is by when you first onboard a client, having a opening of a chat for them within ChatGPT. This is just one example, and putting all of the information and context that you need within that chat function. And there's ways that you can use the APIs of your existing tools like SEO tools and your web builder tools to feed all of that information into one dossier for your client that allows you to continue prompting and getting more and more valuable content or recommendations from the AI chatbot that is customized to your client. So that can be a really great way to help accelerate your workflows, to help you build out client management that's a little bit more automated, but still has that human touch.
So you've shared what SEOs and agencies should be doing in 2024. Now let's talk about what SEOs shouldn't be doing. So what's something that's seductive in terms of time, but ultimately counterproductive? What's something that SEOs shouldn't be doing in 2024?
Yeah, so I think a lot of agencies are obviously thinking about, or SEOs specifically, are, they're worried about how AI is going to change the search game. And I think that it can be counterproductive to spend too much time worrying about that. I think it's important to consider the implications and to keep up to date with what's happening in the SEO industry. But at the same time, go back to the basics. Creating great content that's truly valuable and helpful for your customers, whether or not you're using AI to produce that content. That's really what it comes down to, is really creating truly valuable, useful, and insightful content.
It reminds me of the age-old trap for digital marketers. Don't be led by this fancy new tool that's come along. Be led by your customers and your own strategy that you're
Absolutely
putting together. Yeah. Great. Well, Santi Clarke is Director of Content and Communications at Duda, and you can find her over at duda.co. Santi, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2024.
Thank you.
I've been your host, David Bain. You've been listening to an episode of SEO in 2024 Additional Insights, a Majestic series that complements the original SEO in 2024 podcast, video series, and book. Find out more at SEOin2024.com.